This lesson is going to review with you how to solve a one-step equation. We call them one-step equations because there's literally just one step that you need to do to get the answer. So let's review what the goal of solving an equation is. We say that we want to isolate the variable, which just means that we want to get the variable by itself. And we're going to do that by using opposite operations. Just to review quickly what opposite operations are. If you're looking at addition, subtraction is the opposite. If you're looking at multiplication, division is the opposite. So keep this in mind as we start solving equations. Looking at our first example, we have x plus 3 equals 7. What operation is being done to the variable? We are adding. We have a plus 3 next to the x. We're going to undo that operation by using subtraction. So when you show your work, and you do have to show your work, you want to make sure that you keep the equation balanced. So in this case, we're going to subtract 3 from the left-hand side of the equation and from the right-hand side of the equation. You can draw the line down the middle just to keep yourself organized to separate the two sides. On the left-hand side, you'll see that a plus 3 and a minus 3 cancel. We're left with x. On the right-hand side, 7 take away 3 gives us 4. The last step is something that you want to get in the habit of doing, and that's just quickly checking your solution. What that means is you're going to plug your answer back into the original equation. Just put your answer in parentheses, pop it in for the x, and then just work out both sides of the equation. If the two sides of the equation ending up being equal, it means it checks. So in this case, the check mark is good. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It means that it worked out. Next example, n minus 6 equals negative 2. The operation being done is subtraction. So when we undo subtraction, we are going to use addition. We always want to do the same thing to both sides. So we're going to start this one by adding 6 to both the left-hand side and the right-hand side. On the left, a negative 6 and a positive 6 cancel, so we're left with n. On the right, a negative 2 and a positive 6 give us 4. Again, quick check, doesn't take a lot of time. Pop the 4 back in for n. Simplify both sides of the equation if necessary. So here, 4 take away 6 is negative 2, and that does equal the other side, so we know we got it right. Next equation, 3x equals negative 21. The operation here is multiplication. When you have a variable right next to the number, that implies multiplying. We're going to undo that by using division. Now, you may be used to using the actual division symbol. We want to move away from that and have you start using the fraction bar. So when we show our work, we're just going to do a fraction bar underneath the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And that fraction bar means division. So we're going to write divide by 3 on the left and divide by 3 on the right. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so those cancel. We're left with x. Negative 21 divided by 3 is a negative 7. Again, quickly check your answer. 3 times negative 7 does indeed give us negative 21. So both sides of the equation are equal. It checks out. The next one's a little bit tricky. It's 2/3 x equals 48. When you see a fraction like that, 2/3, the first thing I want you to do is to rewrite the equation so that it looks more standard. So 2/3 x equals 48. The operation here is still multiplication. We're going to undo this operation by using division. Now we have an extra question here. It says, what is the method to solve this problem? When you divide by a fraction, and you can still do the division bar here, so we can still do the fraction bar underneath the left-hand side and the right-hand side. You could still show that you're dividing by 2/3. But you may remember you can't actually divide by a fraction. So the method that we're going to use to solve this problem is to multiply by the reciprocal. What that means here, when you find a reciprocal, you just invert the fraction. So what we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by would be 3/2. And you can either use the multiplication dot or you can use parentheses, whatever you'd like. So if you're looking on the left-hand side, 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, 6/6 is 1. So those two fractions cancel each other out. You're left with just x. On the right-hand side, if you've forgotten how to multiply by fractions, throw a 1 underneath the 48 and then just go straight across. And you can type this all into your calculator. You can do it by hand. Just do 48 times 3. You get 144. Divide that by 2. You end up with 72. You don't necessarily need the 1 in front of the x because that does just mean x. Again, you can check your solution. So we'd have 2/3, multiply that by 72. On the left-hand side, when you multiply, you do 2 times 72 first. That would give you 144. And then on the bottom, you'd have 3 times 1, which is 1. So we have 144 to over 3. And if you take 144 divided by 3, you get 48. So again, it checks out. We did it correctly. This is probably the trickiest type of problem, and many of you I know struggle with the fractions. So make sure as you're working on your work this week that you really focus on these types of problems. The last one. Again, I want you to start by rewriting this equation. It says b/7 or b over 7. Start by writing that as a fraction. So literally b over 7 equals 32. The operation here, remember the fraction bar is just division. So this really is just saying b divided by 7. We're going to undo this by multiplying. So in this case, we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 7. Again, you can either use the dot for multiplication, or if you prefer to use parentheses, that would be fine too. So if you have a 7 on top and a 7 on the bottom, like we do on the left-hand side, those are going to cancel. We're left with b. On the right-hand side, we just have 32 times 7, which gives us 224. A quick check shows us if we plug 224 back in, we'd have 224 over 7. If you divide 224 by 7, you get 32.